Think about the last time you felt completely like yourself, confident in your choices, certain of your values, and comfortable in your own skin. Now ask yourself this: when did that feeling begin to fade? Because for millions of people around the world, there comes a quiet, almost invisible moment when they start to drift away from who they truly are. Not because of a dramatic event, not because of a sudden crisis, but because of something far more subtle, far more calculated, and far more dangerous. Identity erosion doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with a warning or a loud declaration. It creeps in like fog, slowly, silently, until one day you look in the mirror and struggle to recognize the person staring back at you. And the most unsettling truth? Someone else may have engineered that moment deliberately. The human identity is not a fixed object locked away in a vault. It is a living, breathing architecture, built from your experiences, your relationships, your values, and the stories you tell yourself about who you are. And because it is built, it can also be dismantled, piece by piece, layer by layer. Covert manipulators understand this better than most people ever will. They don't need chains or walls to control you. They need something far simpler: access to your mind and enough time to quietly rewrite what lives inside it. It begins with something small. A comment that makes you question your judgment. A moment where your opinion is dismissed so casually that you wonder if you were wrong to voice it at all. A subtle shift in the way someone looks at you when you express excitement about something you love. Just long enough for you to feel foolish. Just long enough for you to think twice before expressing yourself again. These moments don't feel like attacks. They feel like adjustments. Like you are being refined, improved, corrected. But underneath that illusion of growth lies a deeply intentional process. One designed not to build you up, but to hollow you out. Psychologists who study coercive control and narcissistic abuse patterns have consistently found that the most effective manipulators rarely use force. Instead, they use repetition, redefinition, and the slow erosion of self-trust. They make you doubt your memory. They make you question your instincts. They replace your internal compass with their voice, until you can no longer tell the difference between your own thoughts and the beliefs they carefully planted inside you. This is where identity erosion begins, not with a single blow, but with 1,000 quiet cuts. To truly understand how identity erosion works, you have to understand that it is not a single tactic, it is a system. And like any well-designed system, every component serves a specific purpose, working in coordination with the others to produce a precise outcome. The first component is subtle criticism, not the loud, obvious kind that you can defend yourself against, but the quiet, persistent kind that wraps itself in concern, humor, or helpfulness. "I'm only saying this because I care about you. Don't be so sensitive, it was just a joke." You always do this. These phrases seem harmless in isolation, but when delivered consistently, over weeks, over months, they begin to sand down your confidence like water shaping stone. You stop trusting your own reactions. You begin to pre-edit your thoughts before you speak them. And slowly, the most authentic parts of your personality go underground. Not because they were wrong, but because expressing them became too costly. The second component is social isolation, and this is where the manipulation becomes architectural. A skilled manipulator understands that your identity is partially sustained by the people around you. Your friends reflect parts of you back to you. Your family carries the history of who you were before this relationship, before this environment. So the manipulator begins to quietly dismantle those connections. It rarely looks like control from the outside. It looks like preference. "I just feel like we never have time for each other. Your friends don't really understand you the way I do. Why do you always choose them over us?" Gradually, the circle shrinks. And as it shrinks, so does the external validation of your true self, until the only mirror you have left is the one the manipulator holds up for you. The third component, and perhaps the most psychologically sophisticated, is value redefinition. This is the stage where the manipulator doesn't just influence your behavior, they begin to rewrite what you believe in. The things you once found meaningful are framed as immature. Your ambitions are repackaged as selfishness. Your boundaries are presented as aggression. Your sensitivity is labeled as weakness. And because this process happens gradually, because each shift feels like a reasonable conversation rather than an act of control. You absorb these redefinitions as if they were your own conclusions. This is the genius and the horror of identity erosion. By the time most people realize what has happened, they are already defending the very beliefs that were used to imprison them. They are guarding a cage they didn't build, protecting a version of themselves that was never truly theirs. So what do you do when you wake up one day and realize that the person you have become is not the person you chose to be? The first and most powerful step is awareness, because you cannot reclaim what you do not first acknowledge was taken. Begin by asking yourself a series of honest, unflinching questions. When did you last make a decision based purely on what you wanted, without calculating how someone else would react? When did you last express an opinion without immediately softening it, qualifying it, or apologizing for it? When did you last feel genuinely free inside your own mind? These questions are not designed to create pain. They are designed to create clarity. Because clarity is the first light that breaks through the fog of manipulation. Psychologists who specialize in identity recovery often describe this process as a self-audit, a deliberate, compassionate examination of the changes that have accumulated inside you over time. Think about the values you held before this relationship, before this environment, before this person entered your life. Think about the dreams you quietly buried, the friendships you let dissolve, the parts of your personality that stopped showing up in conversations. Now ask yourself, were those changes chosen, or were they imposed? Were they growth, or were they surrender? The difference between the two is the difference between evolution and erasure. Reclaiming your identity is not a single dramatic moment of transformation. It is a quiet, courageous, daily act of choosing yourself again, one decision at a time. It begins with reconnecting with the people who knew you before. It grows when you start honoring your own instincts, even when they are challenged. It deepens when you begin to sit with your own thoughts long enough to separate what is truly yours from what was planted there by someone else. The human mind is extraordinarily resilient. Research in neuroplasticity consistently shows that the brain retains the capacity to rebuild, rewire, and recover, regardless of how long it has been shaped by an external force. Your identity was not destroyed, it was buried. And buried things, when given light and intention, have an extraordinary capacity to rise again. The manipulator's greatest lie is that you are too far gone, too changed, too lost to find your way back. But the truth, the psychological, the philosophical, and the deeply human truth, is that the self is never truly erased. It waits, quietly, patiently, and with remarkable endurance. And the moment you decide to go looking for it, the journey back to yourself has already begun. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.